Oui.
Khomeini died. The others pass away in the future, probably. So who is gonna go to the trial if there is the trial in the future?
Well, I understand from what we heard from many witnesses that there are a lot of living people that have committed torture and committed violations of human rights and maybe crimes against humanity. I understand that some people are still in government, are still have key positions in the Iranian government or in their prison system. So even though some people got away with their crimes because they died, some people are still living and should answer for what they committed as crimes or breach of human rights. And that's what impunity is all about. And impunity is about trying to justify why you shouldn't be tried. And why sometimes also, in some cases, people say, well, some people shouldn't be tried because it will disturb the peace. It will prevent reconciliation. And it's very difficult in some cases, because in some cases there's amnesties. And those people that have committed crimes cannot be tried in their own country. You remember what happened in Chile, in Argentina, and in many other countries where people that had committed crimes were amnesty. And that is not acceptable nowadays. And that's why I think the work of the tribunal is useful, because some people now know that some people don't want them to benefit from any kind of amnesty. They should go to trial. Yes?
Thank you very much. First of all, just I would like to know your opinion about Israel. What do you think about this country in the region? Because you mentioned some countries like Argentina, even US.
Could you speak a bit louder? I don't really hear.
You didn't mention about Israel government. I would like to know your opinion about Israel government. What do you think?
In relation with the crimes committed by the Khomeini regime?
No. Committed crime with the Palestinians. What do you think about this country?
Well, I'm not sure this is the forum to debate that issue, but I'll just say one thing. You know, I'm not scared about saying that Israel has breached and continues to breach human rights, and probably some people have committed war crimes, and they should also be tried. But it's not only Israel. It's not only Israel. So many countries on this planet, and so many leaders of countries on this planet, on every continent, including on this continent, have committed serious breaches of human rights and crimes. And what we need is the support from everyone, from citizens, that everyone, every country, every leader in any country is put to trial if it has committed crimes or breaches of human rights. There should be no distinction. You can point your finger to one country or another, but you should point your finger to many countries on this planet, because there's too many countries that breach human rights.
Thank you.
Take your time for your advice, but I think you understand the situation. I thank you on behalf of my generation who has gone through this process, that it is pain, for the work that you have done. But I wonder that the mandate of your commission was collecting the information from the witnesses around the world. What is the next process, and how long this process, this mandate of getting the information continues, and then what is the next step to make it like workable and usable, not just a talk or gathering information and just say passing through the other generation, which is a very important subject to, but is it to make it more workable and functional for the people like me?
Well, it's a very good question. I think maybe Pavan could complete my answer, because Pavan is a member of the steering committee of this process. I understand that the next step is in October in The Hague, a new set of international lawyers that are judges or that have been judges, different from the people that heard the witnesses. That's very important. I was asked it was suggested that I be a judge. I don't want to be a judge. There must be different people to look at the report, to look at what we did in terms of fact-finding, in terms of what we recommended. And so I believe the next step, and the current step, is to put together very quickly, but I think some people have already accepted, this panel of judges that will, I think there is also the idea that there will be several other witnesses that will be heard in The Hague directly from the tribunal. They will take the evidence we gathered, and they will, just like a real tribunal, sit, deliberate, and write a judgment. They write a judgment as real judges of the International Court, of the International Criminal Court, would do. And although it won't be a judgment of the International Court of Justice, you'll have competent people, independent people. That's so important. And I told Pavan that for me it was so essential, and I asked him and the people of the steering committee to make sure the only people that can write this judgment, the only people that can use their pen, are the judges. They could be held by the registrar, these two very competent young lawyers. We had this young Oxonian, this student from Oxford, and this other young woman who was a student in London who helped us. Two remarkable young people that did an amount of work that you wouldn't believe, or you couldn't do, I couldn't do myself. And that's so important, that the people that will be chosen, because it becomes very serious now. It becomes very serious. We gathered evidence, but judges have to look at that evidence, and they have to be sure that the people that are identified as having committed are the people. You also have to be careful not to destroy the reputation of innocent people when, you know, those people have not committed crimes. It's always dangerous in the legal process to make errors. So that's so important. So I hope and I expect that a judgment will come soon, and that there's some governments in the world that will be given the judgment, sent the judgment, be told, maybe, could you verify if this person is in your country? Because if that person that we consider as having committed crimes, has committed the crime, is in your territory, you should try that person. And for the rest, obviously, what will happen in Iran will depend on the political situation in Iran. It will depend on the government, the future governments of Iran. Because there have been changes in governments, in countries. There are governments and countries that have decided to try people in their countries when there was a new government because the predecessors had committed crimes. So I guess that depends on the future of Iran, and I know that you here and many Iranians in parts all over the world have your own views on how to change the government, how to make and effect change in Iran, and that might not be easy to all agree on that. But I think your hope, like mine, is that one day Iran has a real democratic government, that Iranians are able to define themselves what their democracy is all about. And democracy is, in fact, all about the respect of people, the respect of their rights, the respect and the will of serving the common good. And I'm sure all of you here can agree with that.